everyone, and I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm happy to say that I finished the frog hibernation and insect hotel that I've been wanting to do ever since I put in the frog pond. I've strategically located between a water source and the vegetable garden because I'm hoping to invite both beneficials and insects that feed on the non-beneficials. So I still have things that I want to add to it that I didn't have. I did this in 3 hours yesterday and just used what I had on the property, recycled bottles, recycled cans, which I stuffed with different organic matter. You want to use dead leaves. I have paper in there rolled up. I have pine cones. I have pine needles. Clippings from my trees. There's dead wood inside of it. I shoveled some organic matter from my compost pile in there that they can feed on. The frogs will like a damp environment in the winter to hibernate. They dig in if they don't freeze in your pond. So yeah, but I will be adding as I get things and things break down, I'll be adding to it. One of the reasons why I did this is because insects are on the decline and we have pretty much become so clean that there's not a lot of areas for your pollinators, your beneficial and your non-beneficial insects to harbor. So I did that for that reason. We need insects. They pollinate most of the world's food. Also, insects are responsible for breaking down organic matter. They break down the organic matter, microorganisms also. They make that organic matter available to your plants, and then your plant can grow and feed you. So it's a natural cycle, and we need that cycle to continue, or we will not be able to grow food. Also, insects are awesome natural pest control. Instead of putting down chemicals, I have just invited with plantings and water sources and things like this the beneficial insects to come in and take out my non-beneficial insects, things that I don't like mosquitoes and slugs. I'm hoping the frogs we now have, you'll see at the end of this video, if you watch really carefully at the end, you'll see a frog jump into our frog pond. Let's talk about ways that you can invite insects into your yard. Okay, number one, ditch the poisons. Ditch all of them, even if they're labeled organic. Organic poisons are neurotoxins. They are poisons. Just because they're labeled organic doesn't mean that pyrethrin is not a neurotoxin. It is a neurotoxin. Permethrin is the synthetic form of pyrethrin. It does the same thing. I was a pesticide applicator for my dog grooming business years ago. I had it for 15 years and I had to be pesticide certified even if I didn't apply it. The first line in the book for the pesticide applicator license was, pesticides are killers by definition, and that means organic and inorganic. They are killers by definition. They are meant to kill a life form. So ditch the poisons and try to build a system where the good insects can come in and balance it out. Try using fans. Big box fans are one of your best ways at your barbecue to ward off mosquitoes. Set a few big box fans on your deck or wherever you guys are congregating, and mosquitoes are notoriously poor flyers, so that's always a good thing to try to do. Plant with nature in mind. Planting plants that might bloom earlier in the season and provide food for pollinators, for beneficial insects. Plant natives. Natives are one of your best. There's a native list for every state of a plant list, and try to incorporate more of those into your spaces. If you're worried about natives becoming invasive, because they are adapted to your area, and it is a worry, and you have to think about that. I have a bee balm that is going nuts in my herbaceous border. But what I'm doing is it's really easy to pull out and dig up, is that I'm pulling it out and I'm putting it in other locations. So you can do that. You do have to stay on top of them, but if you don't want to stay on top of them and you just don't want to work, that's perfectly fine. I totally get it. We are busy these days and we don't have time. So think about putting beneficials in pots around. Plants can live a long time in pots without changing the soil. You just have to do the exact same thing you do to the soil on the ground, is you need to add organic matter to those pots and put a good healthy amount of organic matter at the top twice a year in your pots. You can also feed with some organic fertilizers. Seaweed fertilizers are out there. There's fish emulsions, if you're not vegan, that work quite well, that you can feed them, and they will act slower than synthetic fertilizers, which I believe are salts, and really just kind of pour through. They're very powerful and they cause algae blooms. So it's always best to use the natural fertilizers if you have them available to you, or you can make them growing plants like comfrey and making comfrey teas. Another thing you can do is be a little messy. Be a little messy. We've all gotten in the habit of pristine gardens. We can also have an area like this where you do leave it messy. It doesn't have to be a big area. We're only asking people to do their part, not, oh my goodness, you have to have your yard, this jungle full of plants, and I like that, and that I'm into that, but not everybody is into that. You can attract beneficials in a tiny little space like this and just give them a small habitat. You could just have an area the size of a crate, a small crate. Put cans on their side and stick dead leaves and sticks and pile up those cans. Don't go out and buy anything, just use your recycling. Make eco bricks, but instead of pushing plastic into the eco brick, push dead leaf matter, clippings, anything, yard waste, grasses, things like that, and just push them in there. The insects will love you for it. And on the lines of being messy, think about allowing some of your grass to grow. If you have a grass lawn, think about, we're big ones on trying to get rid of all our grass. Amber and I, we're always no grass. I have very limited grass areas. They are not turf grass, they are whatever grows grass. The way I control it is by overseeding a lot to keep the bare areas from acquiring a lot of crabgrass. It's not that I have anything against crabgrass, but the problem with crabgrass is it sprawls out and it kills everything off, and it's annual, so it leaves all bare patches. So you end up at the end of the year and next spring with bare patches everywhere, which gets muddy. It attracts ants. We have a lot of problems with ants on the bare areas because the soil is really easy for them to work. So for that reason, this year I've really been tackling and staying on top of overseeding. I just buy a big thing of seed, and I just, all through the summer, I've been reseeding any bare spots I see. I just scuff it up, take my foot and scuff it. I don't do all the raking, I don't do all the thatching, none of that. And I put the seed down and it grows great. Okay, so there's just a few of my tips of things that you can do. Have water sources. They're so important to attract all kinds of wildlife and kind of get your system. Try not to have a monoculture. Try to have a polyculture where you are growing all types of things. Don't just grow vegetables. You want to grow some flowers around those vegetables, because the pollinators are attracted to the vegetables and they will come in and they will pollinate your food. Yeah, so now we'll get to the habitat I did. I stacked the 5 pallets, and I'll have a real quick reel at the end that kind of just goes through how I didn't put myself on the video. I just did it as it went. And I'll give you a close-up the of the things I put in it, and maybe you can get some ideas for even a tiny one that you want to make. They do say that a lot of those ones that they sell at the stores, they're really not natural, and they are unlikely to do too much. You really want to put something together that you have. It's upcycling. You're using things you have. So I just went in my recyclable can. I went into my compost bin. I went into my clippings where I had done some pruning, and I just grabbed them and put them in. I was shocked at how fast that filled up. I had my pallet planter that's starting to rot. Well, rotten wood is perfect for insects. So I just moved it over here because I was thinking, oh, I'll have to replant it. Well, now I'm just going to leave it there, and I'll just take the cuttings from it and start a new pallet planter in the area where I want it. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I hope you get excited about inviting insects into your world, whatever that may be, whether you just have a little patio, whether you just have a couple pots, keeping a clay pot with some rocks and sticks in it. That works too. It does not have to be anything this big, this formal. It can be something small, places that you keep. Just make sure it does not collect water, because water, believe it or not, that frog pond isn't the problem. And people worry about the frog pond and insects. What really is your problem is your watering cans, the saucers you keep under your pots, areas of water that puddle, our rocks, some of our rocks that have divots. Those are the places where mosquitoes are. Just things you leave out, kids' toys, those are where mosquitoes are breeding. They like very shallow water, and they hatch quickly. So they are the places where you're not going to have frogs and an ecosystem that's kind of taking care of those mosquitoes. We had less mosquitoes after we put in that frog pond than we've ever had on this property. This year has been a wet year, so you're never going to get rid of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes exist. They're going to exist in your world. When it's raining, I mean, we have gotten so much rain, which I am very grateful for. This has been a much more normal year. We had a lot of snow, we had normal cold days, and now we're getting a lot of rain. It's been less stormy so far this year. We haven't had those big tropical storms coming through like we did the last couple years. They're coming, but it's been nice. It's been a nice reprieve from them. So, if we all just do our part, that's all you need to do. It doesn't have to be a big burden. Just every little thing. If every person did one thing, we would be doing a lot better by our insects and pollinators. Okay, so I'll give you a close-up of the little insect habitat and frog hibernation, and what I did and what my thinking was behind it. Okay, so just an overview of this whole area. The frog pond is down this way. And this is, I know a lot of you have watched my videos, so you know that. But the frog pond is down here. And I just have, a bunch of water plants that really like a lot of hydration. Absolutely enormous hosta. This is black magic. Black magic is in the water. They are considered marginal plants. I have some ferns, some more hosta, more ferns. I have plants that, did you see the frog? I don't know if you just saw, he just kind of tipped up his head to see if I was out here. He's very shy. I'm hoping that eventually the frogs will get more used to my presence here. This green chartreuse, that's it's great. It shades out the whole pond, but it's extremely invasive. So I have taken that out so much of it out, and it just within hours covers the entire top again. It's that quick. I finally found out the name of that. We were just calling it waterweed. It's duckweed. So the duckweed is taking over. We have water lily in there. We have hyacinth. So the pond is down here, and then in between we have these are our irrigation boxes. This one goes to the cutting garden and the kitchen garden. This was a new box put in, and that is our old box that does the entire sprinkler system for the entire yard. I think we have 9 zones on it. And there's the little hotel and hibernation area. So I'll give you a kind of a close-up. I've also put a clay pot upside down just in case a queen bee needs a respite area. Put a couple whimsical things on there, if you see the bug zone sign, and then there's a little quiet frogs hibernating sign. I have succulents in there because you want it to be attractive. This is kind of just, newfangled cool. I just absolutely love the look of these. And I was really thrilled with how it turned out with just using things I had. The wild violet that I had, just in a regular black pot, sitting waiting for a place to be, which I was planning on possibly putting in here because I'm trying to put fairly not invasive plants, but ones that might thrive in an area that nothing thrives. If you look, it's really bare. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all of those. I started yesterday taking out all of the dead branches that don't get light anymore, and I think I'm going to turn this into my leaf mold area. I think it'll be a great area right next to the compost bin. So, but I do have natives. This is my milkweed. I have 4 types of milkweed in here. We do get the chrysalis of the monarch each year that we've put it in. I think this is either its 3rd or 4th year. I have some wild mint. This is a Sun King, an Aurelia Sun King. Absolutely love these. I have 5 on the property. With black-eyed Susans, more Japanese forest grass. I have 2 Song of Solomons. One's variegated and one's the native right there. Here's the black-eyed Susans. They're very short because they don't get a lot of light, but they are, as you can see, budding. We have cardinal flower in here. And then, of course, the trellis with the grapevine that leads into the kitchen garden. And that birdhouse was just a pallet also. I did this all myself. I carried all the pallets. They were, I will say, if you have someone that can help you, especially with that blonder colored one in the middle here, that was heavy. That is pure oak wood, and that was really heavy. I put the branches on the sides here, and I'll just let them brown out as coverage. But I did make sure that there were entranceways on the sides for the frogs, and I did turn them different ways so that they also have privacy in there for anything that is a little bit shyer and wants a cold, dark place. The front, I put a lot of organic matter, a lot of sticks and leaves on half the pallet, through half the pallet, straw. You can kind of see there's some straw up there, straw in the cans, organic matter. And then the back, I just left the back of it, the whole back half, I left open. And naturally, when the leaves come in for fall, that will fill in there. The leaves find their way in. You won't even have to do any work. I did some thicket at the top for the birds, so that they can, either grab it, collect it, or just sit on it. The birds love to sit on this tower, and we do put some bird seed up there. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I hope you go out this summer and make up your own little habitat. Have a great day.